Does life just feel so dehumanizing to everybody else? Like every single day, going through day to day just is starting to feel so dehumanizing. Like it genuinely feels like all of us are being stripped of our humanity. We're expected to be nothing but workers. Nothing else. No sort of individualism, no sort of self-expression and happiness. Just total conformity. And sure, a corporate lifestyle or a retail kind of thing might suit somebody, but that's not gonna suit 8 billion people. It's really just, it's starting to feel so dehumanizing. It really is. At this point, I don't feel like most of us are treated as human beings. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to talk to somebody about how dehumanizing life is starting to feel. And then you just get this response that, oh, that's how it is. Yeah, everything sucks. Oh well. What do you mean, oh well? I don't want to live like that. Nobody wants to live like that. Why are you accepting that and then pushing it on me as if I should also accept that? What you are willing to accept and what I am willing to accept are two different things. I do not accept a life where I'm fundamentally suffering. I do not. And any time that personally I've tried to have that conversation with somebody, they tell me, oh, that's not reality. You're living in dreamland. But it's like, why is that not reality? Why is that so unfathomable to you that I don't want to suffer for my entire life? Why are you so personally upset that I want to live a happy life and to live for myself and not live to work and be somebody's employee? Why is it so deeply upsetting to you that I want to live a life that feels nourishing and authentic to me? Why does that upset you so much? I don't accept that life. I reject it. Completely, I reject it. But I swear this conversation rarely ever gets had because that's the kind of response that you're gonna get. It's just like, it gets shut down almost every single time and it's just so frustrating. And then it almost makes you want to be quiet because it's just like, you don't want to be told the same thing that over and over again until they finally bend your will and you're willing to just be miserable. That's not what I want. I don't want to have that conversation with those people anymore. I want to find my own people who will have this conversation with me and we can validate each other, because I feel like anytime I've ever met somebody who's felt this way, it's felt like a breath of fresh air. Like a literal breath of fresh air. And so I'm just like, I need my people. I need to gather my people. I can't do this anymore. I cannot be quiet and I cannot associate with those people who just expect the worst for you. Like, to tell you to go and suffer because that's how life is, that's expecting the worst for you. That's so mean. I can't fuck with that. I really can't. And I've done some thinking about where that reaction of just automatically invalidating you comes from. Nobody's surprised, but it comes from the rich. Of course it does. It does. Because if you think about it, we're so groomed to emulate the rich. And the rich know that. And so they've been given these platforms and this influence, and they have all the power to paint every narrative in society. And so they use that to say, oh, I got here because I worked so hard and I suffered, yeah, but I pushed through it and I didn't complain. The person that complains is the person that's going to be the working class forever. I am set apart from the working class because I stayed positive and I worked so hard. Shut the fuck up. Your father gave you $300,000. Shut the fuck up. Get out of my face with that. Like, I'm so serious. And I'm so serious because it's such a big fat ass fucking lie. Like, get out of my face with that. Like, if you've ever listened to a rich person speak and preach their bullshit, they credit their ability to be rich on utter nonsense. They're like, I'm rich because I started waking up at 5 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. Motherfucker, we're awake the same amount of hours. What are you talking about? We just have a different circadian rhythm. It makes no difference. It's the same amount of waking hours. What are you talking about? You have more time than we have the same time. What are you talking about? You are not rich because your circadian rhythm is just a little bit different. Shut up. Shut up. Oh my god. Or they'll be like, oh, I didn't stay out and party and I ditched my friends that did those things. Outgrowing your friends is a normal part of life. We all do it. You are not special for doing that. Will you stop the bullshit? That is not why you are rich. That is not why. You pay your employees minimum wage so that you can be a millionaire and so that you can do your money laundering and shady shit behind the scenes. That is why you are rich. You are just willing to exploit people and do shady shit. That is why. If you listen to them speak, they credit all of these insignificant things to why they're rich. But like at some point, if you listen to them speak, you just have to realize that they're just naming shit. They are just naming random fucking behaviors. Like, none of those things make them rich. That's not why they're rich. But they want you to believe that's why they're rich. Because they need you to look up to them. If you know that they are horrible, you won't look up to them. But they need you to try and emulate them because they need you to be good workers. Because when you try to emulate them, you give them the power to control how you act. They will tell you how to behave if you want to be like them, but they're not going to give you the accurate narrative. They're going to tell you how to be a good worker. A good worker is someone who accepts the suffering that they're in and works hard and is quiet. That is a good worker. They want you to be a good employee. They don't want you to be rich. They want you to be the working class. The more people on the bottom, the more wealth at the top. They need you to stay under them. They're greedy. They're just pretending to give you that secret sauce of how they got rich. But what they're really doing is they're training you how to be a good worker. They are teaching you to invalidate yourselves. And to teach us and groom us to live that way is fundamentally dehumanizing. It is completely dehumanizing. To be devoid of all emotion and freedom is dehumanizing. And they do try to make us devoid of emotion. And you're just so miserable, but they tell you that you can't acknowledge it. Otherwise, you're the person that's never gonna make it. The person that makes it is the one who shuts the fuck up about how they feel and works anyway. That's not true. That's your coworker. You guys are at the same job making the same salary, just one of you is suffering in silence and the other one is just kind of real as fuck. Like it doesn't really make a difference. We're all miserable, all of us. And if you think that you're not miserable, let me ask you this. If you were not miserable, why would you want to be rich? If the working class did not make you miserable, why would you want to escape it? Yeah, you're miserable. Why don't you sit with that one? Why don't you sit with that one? But like, can we just be honest? We're all miserable. All of us. And I'm so done with the narrative that you have to be quiet about your suffering because somehow that makes you better than everyone else. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's a narrative created by the rich to keep us obedient and to keep us down. It just makes us miserable. It's very dehumanizing because to have emotions is a human experience, but they demonize having emotions because emotions are information. And the more information we have, the more disobedient we are. For example, if I were working and I were so miserable and I knew how to validate my emotions, I would be like, I am so miserable at this job, let me move jobs. And if I move jobs again and it's still miserable, if we were not groomed to have low emotional intelligence, we would understand, wait, there's misery no matter where I go. Maybe the system is flawed. But they don't want us to get there. They don't want us to start thinking like that. So they've created this narrative to keep us down. And because we're so miserable internally and so desperate to escape the working class, we are emulating that narrative amongst ourselves and we are upkeeping the status quo and keeping ourselves down. And that is why when you try to talk to somebody about how miserable and dehumanizing life is, they're gonna tell you that's just how it is. Stop complaining and just work through the suffering. That's the only way to get ahead in life. And it's like, that is not the only way. I'm so sick of it. I don't accept that. If they're willing to accept that, that is them. But I am not. And if you've listened to this far, you probably aren't either. And I've done some thinking as to why we're so expected to accept suffering just at the chance to be rich. I don't believe that we want to be rich because we want the luxury. I think that we just want to be human. I think that nobody in society gets to be treated like a human except rich people. We're stripped of every ounce of humanity and just expected to be workers and nothing else. But rich people get to live life the way that they want to, and they get to have their own identities, and they get to just have fun and be humans. But we don't. I don't think that we want to be rich because we want hordes of money. I think we just want to be human. I think that's why we want to replicate them so bad. We just want to be treated like human beings. Does anybody else want out of this hell cycle? Because I do, and I'm so sick of being quiet. I am so sick of it. I refuse. At this point, I refuse. I will not let the rich gaslight me today. I refuse. And if you needed a space to be validated on that, and if this feels comforting and validating to you, I hope you stick around, and I hope I see you again. But that's all for today. Bye!